I believe the time has come for new immigration rules which say that those seeking admission into our country must be able to support themselves financially and should not use welfare for a period of at least 5 years.
Kind of makes sense, right? That was President Trump calling for some big changes to the current U.S. immigration policy. He's proposing to stop immigrants from receiving welfare benefits unless they have been here for 5 years. In other words, you got to pay a little something into the system, right, before you start taking back. Critics say that a similar bill already exists, but what they're not telling you is that Trump's proposal, the president's proposal, will tighten the restrictions that are already in place and put some pressure on states to actually enforce the law. Imagine that. This is all part of the president's push to crack down on welfare abuse. Joining me right now is Iowa Congressman Steve King. Welcome. Good to have you here. Congressman, it was well received, certainly by the crowd in Iowa, and it seems to be a bit of a common sense measure. I was looking through some of the statistics, and American taxpayers are footing quite a heavy bill for some of the immigrants that are here right now.
Well, they are, and it's been a policy for a long, long time that we don't want to bring people into America that can't support themselves. If you take the tour at Ellis Island, you'd find out that 2%, even though they were screened before they got on ship to come into America, were sent back where they came from because they were physically or mentally judged unable to support themselves. That's an American policy that was rooted clear back into then. And by the way, we watched as Nancy Pelosi as Speaker and then a little bit later Barack Obama as President undermine much of this policy that's been established in law. It's time to put it back in place and time to strengthen it more.
I'm glad you said that. I really am, because it seems as though the left has come up with, Congressman, a whole other narrative. You know, we actually haven't been the most charitable in terms of welcoming people in. We have been historically very strict on who comes into this country, and it really seems to be just something in recent history, call it the last 8 years, where somehow we feel altruistic enough to welcome everyone and give them a check.
Well, Democrats want to turn this into a welfare state. And so one way to do that is to welcome everybody in the world into America and put them on welfare. That breaks the system down, and if the system is broken down, then they have an opportunity to implement their version of socialism / communism. That's part of the strategy that's coming from the left. We want independent-minded people that can carry their own weight and reach out and help others. So we need to have an immigration policy that's designed to enhance the economic, the social, and the cultural well-being of the United States of America. And I want them to embrace our flag, our country, our culture, and our way of life. And it seems as though I run up against resistance in this nearly every day.
They're going to say you're prejudiced, that you know that you're not fair here, that you're not giving everyone a chance. But to your point, I mean, if we think about what's best for the nation, for the nation's economy, in terms of our own prosperity, don't we need to be attracting the right kind of folks? In other words, we should be looking and saying, where are we in need of people? What are the professions that we need to be bringing here?
And there are 2 or 3 countries in the world, they're all English-speaking countries, by the way, Canada, Australia, United Kingdom, either have enacted into law or are working on legislation that identify generally 5 different characteristics of the people they want into their country. And I can't go to Canada. I couldn't immigrate into Canada because I'm too old. I probably don't have enough education. But they want them young with an education, a skill set, a proven earning capacity, English skills, because that's an indication of their ability to assimilate into the broader society.
Listen, Congressman, if the Canadians can do it, right? We shouldn't be taking all this heat.
That's right, and I think we should adopt their policy. I would want to enhance it some, but if I had my choice today, I would take it all into place. Oh, and buy capital is another component. And they give you points on each one of those 5 characteristics, and then you're brought into Canada in order of preference on what you can do for Canada.
Yeah. Well, look, these are important things to be looking at, as opposed to you just happen to be related to someone who's already here, and so you come in and you can milk the system. We don't want that. We don't need that. And you know what? There's plenty of room. There is plenty of room for people to come to this country for the right reasons, for sure. If they want to be Americans and if they want to help us, help them.
And let me just expand this a little bit too, in that the president's call yesterday in Cedar Rapids, Iowa was one that needed to be made, but it needs to go broader than just the welfare sides of this thing that people are thinking about. Medicaid itself was loosened up under Nancy Pelosi. We had standards that were written by now Governor of Georgia, Nathan Deal, that require proof of citizenship in order to access Medicaid benefits. That proof of citizenship needs to be there across the board in the language that was delivered in 2007. And so I urge that my colleagues take a look at that. Let's put that into this Obamacare rewrite that's going on over in the Senate right now. It's a perfect time
I'm
to
glad
do
you
so.
brought that up, because indeed they're looking for opportunities to negotiate this thing out and get it done. Thank you so much, Congressman. Good to have you here.
Good to be back. Thank you.